Alright, so I just wanted to make a distinction or a description of kind of like the key to inquiry, self inquiry, and why the subjective position of me as the thinker seems to be consistently overlooked or consistently missed or assumed, and why people seem to have including myself, seem to have a frustrating and seemingly fruitless seeking experience, even as someone who might be experienced in meditation can consistently overlook this subjective position, this felt sense of me as the central subject, as the thinker. I have, talked about it and using several different models, you could say, different ways of pointing back towards the sense of what feels like me, who is on this spiritual journey, or who is engaging in an inquiry technique. But it would be fully possible to become skilled, or you could say it's a skilled in meditation. Skilled in meditation whilst the assumption of me as the one who's doing that, the one who's meditating, the subject to that experience, whilst that remains fully intact. And I think the key is direct investigation of what it is that feels like me, that is having this experience, that is having the thought experience, that is relating to my story, my experience, my sense of myself, my view of objective reality. And it's such a weird thing, because that's why I call it an assumption, because that identity, that me that's doing this practice, that me that's inquiring, is being merely assumed. It's an assumption. It's taken for granted. It's just assumed to be the way it is, and it's real. I am me, I am here, I'm separate from my experience, from the rest of the world. I am subject to my thoughts. I am the thinker. I am the one thinking. That position, that assumption, that function, it comes and goes. But when we're not directly investigating it, it's not here all the time. It plugs the gaps. The assumption plugs the gaps to make it look like it's always here. I'm always me. I'm always the subject. So it's a very strange illusion. And it can be felt. It's a felt sense of me as the subject, as the one experiencing this, in the middle of all this, at a distance from it, able to observe it from a position, specifically in thoughts. And it's very powerful in that it can use one thought. It could use one thought, right, to create an elaborate illusion of my whole life past, my whole future to come, my whole experience as myself in the centre of this, as single, as separate. It does that in one thought. So it's an incredibly powerful illusion. And like I said, it plugs the gaps when it's not here, because it's not here all the time. And when we start to investigate this, we can see that it's not actually ever here, really. But when we have gaps in thought, among other things, it's that subject, that experience of me isn't actually here. But next time it comes online, it plugs all the gaps. It suggests I have been here this whole time, and it does that with one thought. So then the key to this is looking at what's happening there, what is going on. So you hear people say turn the attention round, look back towards what it is that I am, that's aware of my experience. And we begin this in thought. So we start to notice that thought appears on its own. When I try to calm the mind, thoughts just happen, proving that I am not in control of thought. Me as the thing separate from my experience of thought is not able to control thoughts. They happen on their own. Is that not weird? Because for this whole time we just assume that these are my thoughts. These thoughts are happening to me. I am the thinker. I am in control. But when we investigate that, we see that's clearly not what's happening. So then we start to look back, so to speak. You can't look back, but when we're occupying that subjective position and looking out, or looking at a thought experience as the separate thing that's aware of that, we're doing something, we're occupying a position in relation to something. We are the experiencer, the thinker, and these are my thoughts, belonging to me, happening to me, as the discrete thing separate from it, having that experience. So then the looking back, so to speak, this is hard to describe, right? Looking back is not, you can't look back really, but it's a stopping of occupying or relaxing of, or an expansion of that singular position as something separate from the thought. And from no position, we then become aware of thought. So whenever a thought appears, we're aware of the experience of thought, not the content of thought, the experience of thought directly. What is this thought? And then we ask, maybe, what am I that's aware of that thought? So then we're directing an experience attention back to what feels like me that's having this thought. And then we just become relentless with it. As soon as a thought, we might get lost in it for a while. As soon as you realise I've been lost in thought there, that's the start of what I call awakening. That is the whole thing. That's the whole thing. We notice the experience of thought, not wrapped up in the content of thought, as the one thinking. So then we just keep looking back, let's say, or expanding back the way. What is this? What am I that is aware of thoughts? That's it. That's the whole thing. It doesn't necessarily get more complicated than that. And if we're really if that intention is there, if that curiosity is there, as Nisargadatta Maharaj said, in earnestness, earnestly, genuinely curious, then that's all. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole inquiry. And as another thought comes up to try and describe what am I that's aware of thought, you notice that's another thought. Someone in the comments described it quite well, but I can't remember what they said. But so it becomes quite paradoxical, because we don't confirm from a subjective position, oh yes, this is what I am that's aware of thought, as an identity. We don't identify with it. We notice what is here. And what is here, you can't really say anything about it because it comes before all the thoughts. All the thoughts are made of it. It's inherently here and always has been. It's not even a thing, so you can't point to it objectively. But it's obvious. It's obvious in the absence of the illusion that we seem to be moving past it, moving away from it, and occupying a position within it. So the experience of the thinker and the objective thoughts collapses. So all there is thought. And I could make a model, and this is maybe giving too much, and say that it's then seen from no particular position. The experience of the thinker is just thought. So then again, all there is thought. You not being separate from it, you not being locatable anywhere in it whatsoever, anywhere in this whatsoever. But what you are, you could say, is here, and it just gets more and more clear. But I would describe that as the key to inquiry, because for a long time it's very easy to overlook that position of me, that subjective thought, that subjective assumption that I'm the one doing all this. I'm the one inquiring, I'm the one meditating, I'm the one struggling with my thought. So the felt sense of that one as you is where to look. Anyway, that'll do for now. I'll talk to you next time.